Hi, my name is Mark Biernath. I'm an estate planning attorney here in the Atlanta area with a special emphasis on special needs planning. My son has autism and several behavioral issues associated with his autism. We've already had situations where we've had to deal with the school resource officer. Now that he's over the age of 18, we're worried that he may get into trouble while out in the community. What can we do? One thing you need to understand is how the police view various situations. Their job is to come in and restore order. Keep the peace, maintain order. Oftentimes, just their mere presence in a situation will help. They, of course, have the ability to give verbal commands and expect those commands to be followed. They have the authority to actually physically restrain somebody. Then also have chemical or electrical restraints. Ultimately, they even have the ability to apply lethal force if that's necessary. When you have a situation where you have a child who has a known and it's a visible disability, it's pretty clear, chances are any police interaction, the police will recognize that and adjust to that. They will treat your child as though they have a disability. The problem comes in when you have a child that has no physical appearance or no outward signs of a disability. They will likely not be treated as though they have a disability. They will be expected to follow verbal commands. They will be expected to do what the police ask them to do. And if they don't, the police might try to physically restrain the individual. And if, like with many individuals with autism, they have sensitivities to touch or to being touched, that might elicit a reaction which might be interpreted by a police officer as aggressive or somehow suspicious, which may escalate the situation. One of the options is always, don't allow your child out in the community. Well, that, to me personally, would not be an appropriate response. You cannot account for every possible situation. However, total isolation is not the answer. One of the things you should make sure is that there is appropriate and proper supervision to make sure your child is able to communicate very succinctly and clearly their name, their address, their phone number, that they're able to identify and distinguish who is a police officer, who is a person of authority that I need to respect. They should be able to identify themselves, self-identify themselves as an individual with a disability. Autism. I don't understand. I can't follow your instructions. I know some parents who have children who are nonverbal, not able to verbally communicate, and they actually have a card that the child carries with them in their pocket. My one concern with that is, in an interaction with a police officer, is if the police officer is giving verbal commands and suddenly your child starts digging into their pocket, trying to grab something out of their pocket, that might elicit an adverse reaction from the police officer who is acting in a defensive manner because they don't know what's about to come out of that pocket. I do have to say, if an arrest is made, it's not the end of the world. The goal here is to get that person in front of a judge, and that judge will then decide what, if anything, needs to pursue past that. Also, at that point, somewhere along the line, a district attorney or a solicitor will get involved, and that's another opportunity to kind of figure out what's going on. And at any one of those stages, they can decide, you know what, this is not criminal, this person needs some assistance, but it does not rise to a criminal level, and so we will let this be resolved in other manners. Some courts even have diversion programs. And if you are involved in some kind of criminal proceeding, it might be helpful to find out, is there some kind of diversion program that might be appropriate for your child? Keep in mind, though, that diversion programs often require much more time and involvement than simply going through a criminal proceeding, and then there might be a fine or some other kind of punishment that's meted out. However, if you do go through the criminal process, there is a criminal record. And oftentimes, if there's a criminal record, that might limit the types of housing and living environments that your child might be eligible for. Another concern that I have when an individual with a developmental disability is involved with the criminal justice system is oftentimes their ability to communicate is limited, and their motivation for communicating is often very self-serving, how they perceive themselves. Oftentimes, all they want to do is get out of the situation. They want to they want to say whatever they need to say in order to make it stop. And there is some question about police interrogation tactics, which, though legal, might lead an individual with special needs or an individual with a developmental disability to make statements or make confessions to things that they did not and could not have done. However, they are simply seeing a situation that they're trying to avoid. They want to get this questioning stopped. They want to go back home. They want to get back to their video games. They want to get out of wherever they are. And so they're just trying to say whatever it is this person across the table from them is asking them to say, just so they can get out of there. One thing that I would like to see happen is if an individual with special needs is detained, that they learn to ask for an attorney. So some key information that your child needs to learn is their name, their address, their phone number, to be able to self-identify that they have autism and to ask for an attorney. If you have a child that has behavior issues, it's very important that you include in your planning, in your special needs trust, provisions allowing the trustee to retain the services of an attorney to represent your child in the event that they are ever involved in a criminal matter. I hope you find these videos helpful. We welcome any comments or questions that you might have. If you're on YouTube, you can post those below, or if you're on our website, you can either click over to YouTube and leave your message or comment there, or you can email us at mark@biernathlaw.com.